Hi everyone, I want to welcome you back to school. Happy New Year. I know, it's a new year and when we start back, there's always mixed feelings, right? But I'm hoping that you coming back and being able to connect with some friends and being able to take off and learn some new things will help you to be able to discover more about who you are, your purpose in the world, and the ways that you want to give back and make the world a better place. That's what we're here for. Some of you, this might be your first year, and some of you, this might be your last year. Whatever it is, we want to make sure that this is the best experience for you. We're trying to listen, we're taking all your feedback and trying to make sure that we keep changing things for the better. So we're going to keep coming to you and asking for your advice and asking for your input, and we're going to keep trying to make sure that school gets better and better. Whoever you are and wherever you are, I really want to encourage you to take a risk this year, to try something new, to look for the people who may not be included and try to include them. And let's try to make sure that at all of our schools, we're doing better and making sure that everyone feels like they belong and that they could have the best experience, whatever that looks like for them. I really appreciate all of you and your leadership, and I'm looking forward to all the amazing things we're going to do this year. Thank you.
My question for you is, how do you decide what we learn?
My question is, why don't we have more gym time? Because some kids only have daily physical activity when they get to school, and there's no other chance after school.
I think we should have less math time each day, since we have an hour to an hour and a half every day, and people are like half asleep within 40 minutes.
Thank you for that question. So there's a couple of things that I would probably say there. We don't decide what you get to learn. The Ministry of Education tells us what you need to learn. I know a lot of teachers are spending time trying to find really cool ways to help you learn math, but sometimes because of the kinds of learners that we are, we might need a body break, we might need just to be able to get up and stretch. I will tell you, if you were to come up and visit me in my office, for example, I have a chair, a regular chair, I have a standing chair, I have a spot that I stand up, I have a mat, and I have a ball. And it's because I'm a kinesthetic person, I need to move around. I can't sit very long for a long time. And so if that's the type of learner that you are, please make sure you let your teacher know, and they'll probably be able to help you find a way to be able to deal with it. Because we definitely don't want you sleeping in math class. That's what's going to help you be able to go out, balance your budget, be able to know what to do when you start making money with all the money that you make. Just remember us little people over here.
We think that everyone should know what climate change is. If somebody doesn't know what climate change is, they might not be mindful of how they're harming the earth.
I feel like there's a lack of awareness about environmental problems. We would like climate change to be part of our classroom agreement. Could you do something to encourage that?
I think everybody should know what climate change is so they can help.
We wonder if there could be learning about climate change once every little while, or even make a subject about it.
How is the school board helping or harming the environment?
Okay, so that's a great question, and I agree with you about climate change. I think all of us need to know about it. One of the things that it's important for you to know is that for us as a school board, we're constantly trying to think about how do we do better and have a smaller environmental footprint. So we've been doing things like updating the light fixtures so that we use lighting that takes less energy. We've also started putting in chargers for electric cars. We're starting to do a lot of things like you'll see when you walk out of a classroom, if no one's there, eventually the lights shut off. We're constantly trying to think about how we do better to be able to leave a smaller footprint. At the same time, I agree with you. I think we should all be learning about environmental change, because the thing is, when you graduate from school, all of you will be dealing with it. So we have to do our part to be able to help you. I know in a lot of schools when I go, a lot of teachers and a lot of schools are doing learning around the environment, and I think that's a great thing. I think, what I would encourage you all to do is, as you learn, please share it. And then, when you share it, we can put it out there so that people hear from you as young people saying, this is a concern for us, and these are some of the things that we want you to do.
Why is the school board's goal for reducing greenhouse gases significantly lower than the region's?
Is there a way we can find our schools
pollution so that we know how to work on reducing them?
Wow, so thank you for those questions, and I think some of them I answered a little bit before. I will tell you that we are always looking for ways to be able to do better. In terms of the percentage decrease, a part of the challenge for us is that some of our buildings are quite old, and it requires different types of supports, and it also requires a lot of money to be able to actually address some of those things. We're still doing it. We're doing it anyway, but we always have to keep in mind that we have a budget that we have to spend. I do like the idea, though, of us maybe trying to find a way to share back with students the energy footprint of their school. We do have that information, but it can be quite technical. So let me take that back and we'll look into it.
What were your experiences when you were homeless?
That's a great question, Christopher. When I was homeless, so first of all, there's different kinds of homelessness. There are people who may be unhoused or homeless, meaning they live on the streets. There are some who are called the hidden homeless, in that they don't have anywhere to live, and so they might be going from place to place to place, sort of like, couch surfing here and there. And I was part of the couch surfing, the hidden homeless part. So it was quite difficult. I lost where I was living just after I was 19. I had just come out of the hospital. I didn't have food to eat. I remember very clearly only having $2 in my pocket, and not being sure how I was going to make it forward. And then eventually I got one job, then I got a second job, then I got a third job. So at one point I was doing 3 jobs at the same time. Even with 3 jobs, I still needed to go to the food bank to be able to get food. It was hard, and of course, what I would say, I would never want to go back to it, but I am always grateful that it happened, because when it happened, it taught me so much about who I am. And now that I'm in a different situation, I always try to think about how do I remember that, and how do I try to make sure that I give back, and how to make sure that we, remember that, because we're in one place today doesn't mean that we'll be there tomorrow. One of the things, and I don't know if you know this, that we've done here at the board is we've partnered up with A Better Tent City. And A Better Tent City provides these small homes for people who are unhoused. And they're right here at our board office. Right next to us, we provided some of the land, and they're all there. And actually, we even had some students who helped to build some of those homes. So thank you for that question. That was a really thoughtful question.
My question for you is, do you enjoy your job?
You know what I enjoy about my job, Emily, is the chance for us to be able to try and move education forward. We're still using the exact same structures that they've had when they invented public schools, or they invented schools like more than 100 years ago. And so a lot of what we've been doing through talking to all of you has been trying to think about how do we shift that. And so one of the things that I'm really enjoying is us thinking about how do we shift things, how do we make it better, how do we make it so that when you graduate, you're ready for the future that you're going into.
So, you know how there's track and field and like other sports events, but where's all the art and academical things, like spelling bees? My question is, can we have more of that?
It would be a great idea to have like a district-wide arts competition. Although with some things in the arts, you may not necessarily, you could still have a competition like with visual arts maybe, and performing arts. Sometimes it's great to have celebrations of those things as well. But I hear what you're saying, and I think you've given me some food for thought there. In terms of some of the academic ones, there are academic ones, but they tend to show up more at the high school level. So stay tuned, you might get to some, just not yet.
How can we increase strenuous physical activity during the school day to improve our mental and physical health?
I think, taking some, and I know you have this at school, DPA, your daily physical activity, being able to take some time out and be able to engage in some activity, and that will help you to be able to be successful through the day, because our brain needs the oxygen and our bodies need the movement. And I'm the same way. I need to move.
What inspired you to do education?
Education is actually my second career. I was in the social work and community services sector before that. I wasn't one of those people who, when I was young, knew I'm going to be a teacher one day. But I used to work with young people, and some of whom would get in trouble a lot, and some of whom didn't want to stay in school anymore. And so I used to go into schools to support those students. And other people saw me and saw the way that I was working with students, and they kept sitting me down and saying, "You need to be a teacher. You need to be a teacher." And I was like, "I don't want to be a teacher. I like what I'm doing." And they kept telling me I need to be a teacher. And then eventually I said to them, "I'm only going to apply to one university, one program, and if I get in, I will go." And guess what? I applied and I got in, so I went. And that's how I got into education.
Hi, my name is Kenza from Moffat Creek, and my question is, why doesn't financial literacy play a bigger role in our current curriculum?
Actually, that is coming up pretty soon. Starting not next year, but the year after, financial literacy is going to become a part of grade 10 learning. And in fact, the ministry just released that if students don't actually pass it, they won't be able to graduate with the grade 10 credit in math. So it's a great question. It's coming because adults are hearing more and more from students and realizing that we need to do better with financial literacy.
Why are the libraries so small? I've seen elementary school libraries bigger than the middle school libraries, and that is just a crime. It is a crime against humanity, and it is sad. I'm sorry.
I love that you love libraries. I think, we've been doing a lot of work around trying to figure out how we turn them into library learning common spaces where people are going into. You have to remember the ways that libraries were thought of in the past were the place that you go quietly, you borrow a book, and you leave. Maybe you'll sit there and you'll read it, but with the advent of this thing called the internet, more people aren't necessarily borrowing as much books as you might think. And as I'm listening to you ask that question, I'm hearing lots of noise, which is a good thing actually. But back in the day when a lot of the schools were built, the library was supposed to be the quietest place in the entire school. You couldn't even breathe almost because that would be too loud. So I think part of the challenge is that when schools are older, they were built with that model in mind. As schools are evolving, when we build newer schools, you'll see that we're considering exactly what you're saying, that libraries should be bigger spaces to allow collaboration, to allow creativity, where there's books, but there's also other resources and where you could engage really well together and learn or solve problems together.
What's your favorite movie?
Do you have a pet?
There's a really old movie, it's probably before you were even born, called The Goonies. I still love The Goonies. And if you get to see The Goonies, you might like it too. Just a little thing, a little tidbit there. Do I have a pet? No, I had a cat, and then I started to get allergies, and I tried for a while to be able to see if I could get through the allergies, but I couldn't. And so I had to find a new family for my cat. But I do have lots of plants, and I talk to them. I love my plants. Thank you all so much for those amazing questions. There were so many, they were so great, and I thought I really wanted to try and answer as many of them. I hope that the answers got you what you wanted. And I look forward to meeting some of you when I get out to schools for school visits.